Hi and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. I'm Evil Coyote. Today I'm going to have a look at two different ways that people get into orbit, and I'm going to try and figure out which is the most efficient way in which to do that. Now, the ship that I'm going to use is it's a simple ship made out of stock parts. The only non-stock part that I've got on here is a little inline camera just below the main pod there. So that is that little camera right there. So that will give us this wonderful view looking back. So we might utilise that. We'll see. Right. Okay. So the ship that I've created is pretty straightforward. So we got a Mark 1 lander at the top. We got a FLT 400 fuel tank. Inside there we have the little 50 engine. I can't remember its name. It's got 50 thrust. It's the yellow and black one. You'll know it when you see it. We got a stack decoupler, and then we got an 800 fuel tank with the FL 200 or whatever engine. The one that's got 200 thrust basically. And on the sides, just to help it off the launch pad, we got an additional two engines with a 400 tank each. They're the same type of engine again. Note that, sorry, they are actually the slightly smaller one. So the centre one is a 215. These two outer ones are the 200. And obviously the aerodynamic nose cone, which at the current time in version 0.23, the drag reduction of nose cones isn't actually in effect, so the additional weight doesn't actually slow you down. It doesn't actually help you cut through the atmosphere any better, but hopefully they'll be implementing that in 24 when it's out. Right, so our ship overall has got a total of 900 fuel, so we're going to achieve orbit, and we're going to see how much fuel is left, and then we'll try a different way and see how much fuel we have left from that one and compare the results. So the ship is 3 stages. So we have these two outer engines. When we launch, all 3 engines will go. The outer ones will be dropped first when these fuel tanks become empty, and then we'll just have the centre engine, and once this one's empty we'll drop that and go with the top one, so on and so forth. So the first technique I'm going to do is the straight up and then turn, and we'll see how much fuel we've got there. So we'll put SAS on to keep us nice and tight. Oh yeah, we do have a couple of fins down here just to help stabilise us in flight. Right, so we're going to start off with maximum thrust, and we are going to hit space and take off. So here we go. So just looking back at our lovely launch pad that's disappearing quite quickly there. Just keep an eye on the fuel on that tank so we know when we need to ditch those. Goodbye, Kerbal Spaceport. Hopefully we will return in one piece. Of course we're going to return in one piece. Right, so these are about to run out, so they're no use. So we'll press space and we'll ditch them. So we're ditching the extra weight, because all those engines and the empty tank itself all adds to the weight. So the more weight that you can strip during your ascent, the more efficient you're going to be, and the less fuel you actually need to get up there. So this second stage is about to cut through. Well, it'll run out of fuel, so that's now out. And we're on to the third stage. Now at this point, halfway up, I always bring it back to about, well, usually 2/3 thrust, depending on what we're doing. Right, so we want to keep an eye on what our apoapsis is doing. So when we get to about 95 or 100, we want to be changing that. Well, we want to be making our move basically. So this little engine I was talking about was this little little one here, little baby. So our apoapsis is, if you bring up your compass, by the way, you can control ship from within the map view. So about 95, we're gonna plonk ourselves on the side like that. So boom, boom, boom. So we're on the side like that. Boom. So we should hit about 100 by the time we actually go around. So let's keep an eye on that. So we're still only using 2/3 thrust. I mean, you can use more if you want, but yeah, the engines tend to be a little bit inefficient at maximum thrust. You actually gain more out of them if you operate them around 2/3 or maybe a little bit more. Right, so as you can see, the apoapsis is slowly increasing, so we're above 100,000 meters now. But obviously, the main thing that we're interested in at the moment is actually circularizing and gaining orbit around Kerbin, which is what we are currently attempting to do. So we have literally got our ship on its side, and it's just poodling along. Ding, 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 ding. One thing to note here is that as long as you stay on the rising side of your apoapsis, then your in order to gain orbit is going to be more efficient. If you end up passing the apoapsis, you're going to be losing height while you're still trying to circularize your orbit. So that means, especially if you start coming down pretty quick, it means that you got to turn the craft so it's nose upwards, which means your circularization is going to take longer because you're not only going forwards, you need to gain some upward momentum as well. So that means you're going to lose more fuel. So you want to make sure you stay this side of your apoapsis, the climbing side. Right, so we're about to make orbit, so we're 150 that side, 50 that side, 200 that. Okay, let's call that. So 255, 40. What we could do is, for the sake of the test, for comparisons, we'll equal this up. So that we get the same amount of height from both aircraft or both missions, if you like. So we're going to get both sides to around 250. So if we just align ourselves up for the maneuver, right, and we speed up time, get around there. Ding 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 ding. We only need a 3-second burn really to circularize. So we coming up to our burn points. So that's 3 seconds at full power, by the way. I'm not going to apply full power. I'm just going to apply 3/4 and cut it about there. So we've got 238, 56. Let's go a little bit more. So we're 50, say 60. Okay, that'll do. That'll pretty much. Right, so in that particular test, we've gained orbit. We've got an orbit of 250,000 meters. We've only got 6.1 fuel left. I'm going to use a liquid fuel as the marker. I mean, the oxidizer and liquid fuel get consumed at an equal rate by ratio. So, 6.1. Let's try see the other way. So we're going to revert back to the launch pad. Now this this time I'm going to do what I normally, the technique I normally use. So I'm going to use the 45 degree when we get about halfway up. So let's see how this one goes. So for the launch, we go full power. So we're climbing pretty rapidly. Let's have a look back at the space station, which is looking quite nice. And I'm getting pestered on Steam. I don't know if that's going to come up in the video. We'll see. Right, so we're about to ditch our engines, so we get rid of them. Don't need them anymore. Bye bye little engines. Bye. See you later. Right, okay, so let's go back to normal view. So we're keeping an eye, so we're just about to come out of the first part of the atmosphere. So I'm going to throttle back to just above 2/3, and I'm now when I get to just before the centre marker there in the H, so we're just approaching that, ditch that stage, put our engine on, and now I'm going to turn, oh no, I want to go the other way. I'm going to turn to 90 degrees and I'm going to bring my engines down to a nice 3/4 power there as well. So now I'm going to maintain that. So we're going to keep an eye. So what we're doing now, rather than going straight up, we're now actually going upwards and outwards at the same time. So it'd be interesting to see which technique is actually the most efficient. I've pretty much consistently been using this particular technique, so it'd be interesting to know if I've actually been using the inefficient way or the efficient way all the time I've been playing KSP. Now what I will do is I will wait until the apoapsis is at around 100 or 105 and then I'll cut my engines. Now the reason I'm going to do that is because what I want to do is try and save as much fuel as possible. And no, the higher you are, the less thrust you actually need to get round. So we're about 100 there. So I've cut my engine, so they're down, and now I'm just going to float up to the apoapsis there. So at this point I'm going to roll my ship over, or tilt my ship over, so I'm now at the horizontal to the horizon. But I'm not going to hit the engines until I get closer to the apoapsis. So I'm not actually going to use this marker for anything. I'm just using it for the time, so I know roughly how long it is before I get to that point. So 30 seconds. Let's speed up warp just a bit and get there. I'm going to actually start burning just before the apoapsis, not at the apoapsis. So I'm bring my thrust up to just over 3/4. Right, so now, I'm now going to bring out full power because I may have left it a little bit early. Alright, sometimes with this technique you do have to actually bring the nose up a little bit. So I've brought the nose up a fraction, so I'm not quite horizontal, and by doing that I'm now controlling my apoapsis. I'm not letting it get behind me, I'm actually keeping it in front of me. That's where I want it. I want it in front of me, so I can drop my nose a fraction more, keep that there, and that's alright. So I'm going to bring throttle down a little bit, so I don't want to be catching it up. So fuel's actually coming down pretty fast. But what we want to do now is just wait for that to get out to about 100 or 248. That's close. Right. Okay. Now, when I'm there, when I get to that point there, I am going to initiate burn just to bring this out. So we want that out about the same amount so that we circularize. Oh, so about 246, 259. That's approximately what we had last time. So I line my ship up to where I need to point it. Okay, so we're going to have a 4-second burn on that. Four-second burn when we get there, so just bringing our ship in. Bum 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 bum. Almost there. Oh, slow right down. Right, okay. So I got 11 seconds before the burn. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiate. So we initiate our burn. Again, I'm not actually going to use full power because I don't want to waste fuel. You know, don't want to use full power unless I actually have to. So we've brought our apoapsis 262. The other one's 247. So that's pretty much identical to what we had before. So on the other technique we had 6.1 fuel remaining. Now on this ship we've now got 14.5 remaining. So it does appear that making a 45-degree turn in the middle of the atmosphere does actually give you a more efficient launch than going straight up and then just turning right and hammering on the engines. I hope this is helpful to a lot of you, and I'll see you in the next video. For the time being, see you later.